Hello everybody and welcome back to Juno New Origins, where we are finally ready to do this. We need to launch this guy, and I think this is actually going to do the trick. This time, hopefully. So let's put this in position here, and we did end up losing a couple of hours on our contract here, but that shouldn't be a big deal overall. So let's put ourselves at a 70-degree angle here, and let's get out of here. Hopefully the staging is not broken, but I believe we checked that last episode, and we were all good to go. So I want to take a look at our SRB fuel here. Looks good. Wonderful. So our apoapsis is currently chilling at about 6 kilometers. And let's just bring this right on up to about 20. So we've got about 45% fuel remaining in those SRBs. That's all looking good. This is about 20 kilometers, so I'm going to move us over to a pitch of 45. There we go. Gonna hold this attitude for a little bit here. 10% left on the SRBs. Okay. SRBs are out of here. Beautiful. Apoapsis is about 50 kilometers, so let's bring this down to, let's leave it at about a 15-degree pitch, I think. We want to be putting this almost all into horizontal speed. And yeah, you can see here the time to apoapsis is currently dropping, so that is fine for the moment. Taking a look out here, 52%, and if I recall correctly, we did need to manually transfer this fuel out here. So I'm going to get that set up. So that's going to be, if I can select this, here, there we go. And then this is going to be flowing fuel in up here. No, remain at 15 degrees, please. I'm looking at our apoapsis. We need more. So that looks good. We're going to flow in, we're going to flow in here, and we're going to, actually, not this one. Hang on, turn you off. It is this one. Okay. This is wrong over here, but for now, that's fine. No, it's not. I was just looking at our apoapsis there. It's definitely going to need to be turned off here and turned on here. There we go. So we're at a high enough apoapsis at this point. Let's put our pitch at 0. Looks solid. And how's our fuel? We're at 10% in these side boosters. Okay, beautiful. So that's looking absolutely phenomenal. 3, 2, 1. Okay. They are burned out. Let's get rid of them. Wonderful. So we're at 100 kilometer apoapsis at this point, and I'm going to cut the engine because we need to come in here, plan burn at apoapsis, and we need to get this burn up as relatively efficiently as possible. This is close enough. Let's go ahead and execute that. We should also probably open our solar panels. Perfect. So 700 meters per second is going to be about 800 to go into orbit here. That's understood. We know that we're going to need a little bit more than that. Double checking staging up here. It looks... Oh, I didn't know you could resize this. I don't know what the point is, but sure. Okay, that's fine. Just double checking the staging here. The staging looks good. So remaining fuel here is fine, and we of course just need to accelerate this up to orbital velocity. We're going to be really, really close to orbital velocity when we activate this up here, and that should be fine. Of course, it was this here that was modified, so for the moment this is all going to be pretty much the same, although we have a little bit more mass up here, so that's fine. We understand that that's going to be the case. We've got about 350 meters per second left in this booster core. And that'll be enough to get us pretty close to orbit, but not quite to orbit. So taking a look at this, we are over 50% of the way through this burn. We're arriving now at the apoapsis. So we're starting to go back down at this point. That's understood. We've still got another roughly 300 meters per second to burn out of here, and we've got about 150 meters per second left here. So that's going to definitely be right on the money of what we're expecting. So that sounds good. Okay, about 50 meters per second to go here. Cool. Engine power off, and let's move on to our next set of engines. Wonderful. So these are the ones that we have to manually stage, and that's absolutely fine. We can see our periapsis coming up nicely here. 40 kilometers, 50, 60, 70, and we're in orbit. This is good enough. Engine shutdown here is perfect. Okay, so that will do. At this point, now we need to escape the gravity of Drew. So, to that end, we can do a prograde burn out this direction. It's going to be a fairly hefty burn to escape. This is way more than we want. That is apparently a Atraitus encounter. Okay, that is one heck of a gravity well. I'm guessing that's the gas giant. Okay, that's fine. So we're just going to want to put ourselves in an orbit that is something like, not that, something like this. Just a minor escape orbit. So that looks good. Let's go ahead and execute this burn. So we know that we're going to have to jettison these external tanks fairly early on. And I believe it will be during this burn. But this is going to be a 3.2 minute burn, so let's accelerate that right on up. And at this point, like I said, we have pretty much proved that we are, in fact, capable of getting this done as it is. I'm 99.99% certain of that. We just need to get this burn completed, get our transfer done, which is going to have to be a speedy transfer. We know this. But it looks absolutely okay at this point. With the extra engine thrust up here, I don't think we'll have a problem. So 30% fuel remaining here. 25. 20% fuel remaining in this stage. 15. 10%. 5%. Engine shutdown. We're pausing the game here because we have to manually execute this. So let's get rid of all of these tanks. We do not want them to stick around. They are dead weight at this point. So we're just going to get rid of all of those. No, I don't want to grab this. Just jettison that part. Perfect. And this should remain at a heading of 90. Okay. Looks good. And also, we should just be locked to the maneuver node, to be honest. Where is the maneuver node? Is this it? Yeah, locked plan burn. There we go. So that'll be fine, and we can proceed on normal speed. So off go those 4 tanks. Perfect. We're locked to the maneuver node at this point, and we can see we're definitely draining this fuel slower, which is fully expected. We're about 80% of the way through this burn, so let's accelerate the rest of the way. Wonderful. 90% of the way through the burn. And we can drop down to 1x speed because we're now 98% done with this burn. Engines will be shutting down shortly. And there we go. Beautiful. So 75% fuel remaining in these external tanks. Just want to make sure that this was flowing correctly, and indeed it was. So now we need to... Well, that's awkward. Lock velocity prograde. We need to burn a little more. Okay, so the awkward thing here is we have this encounter. But I think it's okay. So we're going to need to warp up this direction. We had to burn a little extra because of the encounter with Luna. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and warp up to the end of our encounter with Luna. Okay, now let's take a look at what this is doing to our overall orbit. Okay. So at this point, we would probably want to do a small corrective retrograde burn here. We don't want our orbit to grow like this because that's going to change how long we have our coast times. So a 40 meter per second burn here, 47.4, that's good enough. So we'll go ahead and execute that burn. That'll only be a 6-second burn. There we go. Cool. So that'll put us back on our nominal trajectory. So let's go ahead and warp up over this direction and move out into the sphere of influence of Juno. Wonderful. So now we're in the Juno SOI, and we need to select Silero, make that be our target. And we know the burn is going to be somewhere out here, and there's a big radial component to it, right? So it's something out over this direction, but we need to change the timing to be like out over here. So that's going to be in 1.5 years. We're going to need this to be sooner than that, for sure. I believe the timing was somewhere around here previously, so we need a little bit more prograde and a lot more radial to make that actually happen. Where was that? It's out over this direction for sure. Yeah. This is the correct way to do that. Beautiful. So that's about 39 megameters, and let's just dial that in a little bit. We're going to need to bring it this way. Okay, this is very sensitive, so we're going to need to dial this back a bit. Okay. We're just going to need to find the... Actually, it's going to be a timing issue, isn't it? Yeah. I see 28.6 here. Okay. We can dial it in like this a little bit. But this is mostly an issue with timing, and I would definitely like to get this a lot closer. Unless this is an inclination. Oh, it's inclination. That encounter with Luna changed our inclination. Okay. We can bring it in like this then. That's fine. So this is about 10,000 kilometers here. And you can see here, this is very little delta V for that inclination change. So that looks good. We can continue to dial it in like so. So that's about 6 kilometers, 5. I feel like we're losing efficiency there. Yeah, for sure. 3,000 kilometers. 2,000 kilometers, 1,000 kilometer, and that's 566. Let's just bring this in to somewhere around here. That looks good. 77.4. So let's go ahead and execute that burn. And of course, we'll have to do a lot of warping to get there, but there we go. Okay. So the burn is executed. This is going to be a 3-minute burn or so that looks okay. And let's have this interplanetary transfer stage transfer us in an interplanetary manner. I know that's a shocking thing to say, but let's definitely do that. Let's use this stage in the way it was designed. Beautiful. So we're about 30% of the way through this burn. It's a really, really awkward burn. I would really like to not do it this way. This is so inefficient. But alas, we needed to have this happen within the time frame. And this is definitely within the time frame. So that looks good. We shouldn't have any issues with thrust to weight this time with the addition of the 4 engines here. So that should be absolutely A-okay as well. And this all looks absolutely wonderful. We're about 80% done with this burn, 200 meters per second to go. And you can see we've still got a good amount of fuel in this stage. We will be ditching these tanks fairly soon, but there's a little bit left in them. Okay, so 174 kilometers. We can probably dial that in ever so slightly here. I want this sensitivity way down. Let's cancel this. Let's create a new one. Lower that sensitivity a lot. Okay, I want this to be 24.3 is too low. This is acceptable. So that's 0.01 meters per second. Let's go ahead and do that. That's a very, very small change. Okay. This is like the world's smallest burn here. This is increasing our DV? What is happening here? I don't think this burn is actually happening. Okay. I'm canceling it. So we're now at 288. It was doing something, but it wasn't doing what we wanted it to do. So let's dial this in this direction then. 41.2 is too close. This is better. Okay, let's see if it'll allow us to do that. So we'll arrive in 2, 1. It overshot. Canceling. Okay, we're just going to go with 392 kilometers unless... Actually, we know that this is a retrograde burn, right? So let's just position ourselves in retrograde mode. Why is the nav ball this color? Okay, whatever. It's fine. So let's just position ourselves in retrograde here. For whatever reason, and probably because of just how... Oh, that's awkward. The solar panels are not where I expected them to be. Right, because we changed this. It's fine. I'm not that concerned about it. So we do want to warp forward here so that we're like properly lerping to the destination. There we go. And now what I want to do is I want to just very, very gently dial this in. 98.5, that's pretty good. Oh, I massively overshot that. Okay. Let's take this back around to prograde. Okay. And let's bring that in a bit. Wow. It keeps happening. Okay. I'm doing a throttle up minutely and then a kill command immediately, and it's not always taking the kill command. But that's okay. So let's just... Yeah, like there. It did not take the kill command. It's like it can only take commands that are so far apart. Yeah, it's not taking the kill command instantly. Okay. These are very, very minute adjustments, and we can't really alter it all that much. Okay. 1.75 kilometers. That's a little much. That's way too close. Okay, let's just bring this around. Definitely getting the hang of this, but I'm going to go with 163. It's good enough. So we're going to warp up over here. That'll be fine. And we need to warp into, well, here for now. We need to get a lot closer. This is currently actually... This is claiming that we're on an impact trajectory. But also that we're 163 kilometers away. That's interesting. Let's see what happens if we do a little bit of radial here. Because that's very interesting. So that's bringing us in closer here. That's 6.62 kilometers. Let's just bring that up to actually 49.6. Not bad. That should work. That should work. So we're going to warp up over to here. We need to warp even further. So we need to get into the sphere of influence here. So let's just get this warp going. Excellent. Okay, so now we've entered the sphere of influence of Silero. So I want to head over to here, select this. There we go. And at the... What? What did this just do? Okay. Plan a burn at the periapsis. This'll be fine. So at the periapsis, we want to do a retrograde burn, and this is going to be much lower than we thought it was going to be, as expected. And I want to bring this down to be roughly circularized. We don't care exactly where we land this. So we just want to put it somewhere like this. That should work. We know that the atmospheric height on Silero is, if I recall correctly, like 45 kilometers. I'm double checking that. Let's see here. 49.5 kilometers. So this is just outside of the atmosphere here. And so is this, in theory. Okay, I'm going to change this slightly. So specifically, what I want to do is I want to move our burn to be about here. And I want to do something like that, just moving us up above 50. So that'll be fine for now. Let's go ahead and execute that. So we're going to fall in towards Silero here, a fair amount. Just want to mildly change this height here. We're just a little lower than I'm comfortable with. So we'll just do this, bring this on down to roughly 50 kilometers as well. Sure, that'll do. We'll go ahead and execute that. So that'll be a 53-second burn. And of course, these tanks are going to go away very early on in this burn. So there we go. That looks great. 1% remaining. And tank detachment. Perfect. We are in orbit at this point, and what's our thrust to weight here? So we're at 2.61 thrust to weight, understood. And we're going to have fuel in this for a while. 2.65. We got here, I think, more efficiently than the last one. Because this interplanetary transfer stage is going to be effective for our entire burn land, or our entire landing burn here. 345, we've got 700. Yeah, so we can actually do a pretty hefty descent burn on this. The real question is, what is this thrust to weight going to be? And I'm going to answer that question in real terms here in just a moment. We'll let this burn finish. And at that point, what I really want to do is I want to make a quick save, which we will revert back on the quick save. But I want to make a quick save and decouple this and light these engines just to see what the thrust to weight is going to be. We want to utilize the 35% remaining fuel here. We've got 368 meters per second there, and we definitely do want to use that. So we can see we're in about 1527 right now. Okay, let's quick save here, and I'm going to jettison this. We will revert. I just want to see what this thrust to weight is. Okay. So now we're going to throttle this up, and we can see 1.09 to start with. Okay, that's good to know. I want a quick load. And that is absolutely understood. So at this point, I'm going to retract our solar panels. We're going to want to head around to around here and begin our descent. We know that we have some delta V in this stage, and I do want to utilize that. But we also know that this thrust to weight is slightly higher than gravity, but that as we descend, we're going to have a situation where we have our thrust to weight reduced, right? Because we're going to be going down in the atmosphere. The question is, how far will that be reduced in comparison to how quickly we burn the fuel in here? That's the real question. However, it is about time to put a cut in here, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And next episode, we're landing this thing. I promise you, we're landing this. You can leave your offerings to the engagement gods in the form of likes, comments, subscribes, and bell ringings, and a very special thank you to all of the channel members for making this video possible, including ALS Gamer, Atala, Andy Magar, Ali Lee, Dark Horse, Xenocyte, Hiro Marutsu, Upper Cumberland Gamers, Nick Smarty, Dimitri H, Punching the Microphone, The Lounge STL, and all the rest. And of course, you. Thank you for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can click the join button down below the video, and as always, I will see you all next time.